This is the Fifth Estate Winning Headlines, your media police post. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you might have missed this morning, but we also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 4th of September 2020, and I am 2J.
I am 2M.
And I am GK, and in case you missed the headlines, here they are. In the Daily Nation, Ruto from power to opposition. The Standard, showdown over Obado ouster plot. And in the Star, EACC summons Murathe over KEMSA scandal.
Wow.
Now let us begin with Ruto. How has he shifted from power to opposition?
Ruto from power to opposition, and rightly said by the nation. He is in the opposition. Now, DP Ruto and his allies have been attacking the president in the past week. And one of his allies, by the name Mukomeno, he has said, and he called the president yesterday, he said that the president has an inferiority complex. Now look, these guys are not doing this by accident. This is choreographed. And it is choreographed because of this. And I have a hypothesis. Someone is out there to infuse the 41 versus 1 again
Narrative.
against the narrative against the Kikuyus.
So the 41 tribes against the one tribe.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And before I tell you why, let us watch this clip.
Mimi nauliza nyinyi, kama mko na shida na Wakikuyu, hamuko na shida na Wakikuyu kuliko sisi wa Kalenjin. Tuko na shida kubwa zaidi. Sawa sawa? Lakini ikifika mahali unatofautisha maneno, unaweka maneno ya tofauti za kijamii kando, unatafuta serikali kwanza, kwa sababu ile serikali itakusaidia kutatua matatizo ulio nayo.
Now, the reason I say that is because of this. You cannot have fellow called Grand Mullah, I'll not say his full name, week after week tweeting anti-GEMA sentiments. Number two, the CS Public Service yesterday delivered a report to Parliament saying that Kikuyus form majority of public service. That, and I saw the comments of some of those MPs that were questioning her yesterday. Point is this: there is a systematic campaign narrative to profile GEMA. And this is because the anger that is forming is very similar to what happened in 2007. You see, if you're going to create a groundswell for William Ruto, it means you have to create an object of aggression. The object of aggression will not necessarily be Uhuru Kenyatta. It will be an ethnic community. And this, in my view, it is GEMA. I don't know what you people think.
And I think, of course, as I've been saying this week, that the deputy president is acting purely like a noisemaker. And I think that if we're to separate the two issues, that of incitement, but that also of his role as an assistant to the president, those are two separate things. And I think that he's using this noise, this that groundswell that you're talking about, while forgetting that he has a role to play. Murkomen said the other day, as a matter of fact, the president is persecuting his deputy, and the question Kenyans are asking, is that the right thing to do? Who cares about that question, right? It is not for the president to appease his deputy. It is for the deputy to be respectful and do the job that he was elected to do up until the point that he's no longer responsible to do so.
And I'll add to your point. Hubert Humphrey once said, anyone who thinks that the VP can take a position independent of the president, of his administration, simply has no knowledge of politics or government. And that's historically. If you have gone and decided that you're going to take a different stance from, your boss, this is expected. So you're in opposition of your own volition.
Resign.
Oh man.
Go, just resign.
I will say this though, let me play devil's advocate. To be down is not out, right? And I think what we have to do with that clip that we just played was we need to be able to shift from the politics of fear and shame to voting for values. You shouldn't be voting because you're fearful that there might be conflict, that you're fearful that this ethnic community will come against this other ethnic community. I think there needs to be a real paradigm shift in that sense.
Definitely.
On that note, we have a 3-part criteria that we will use to break down the headlines. We will ask ourselves, is it topical or speculative? Is it repetitive or groundbreaking? And is it thoughtful or just plain lazy? A very thoughtful headline, in my opinion.
Definitely.
I love it.
And quite topical, so we will park it for now. Let us move to the Star, the man with the big man energy. Yesterday, the Standard called him the tormentor in chief, the thorn in DP's flesh. Murathe,
Yeah, and so apparently the tides have turned because EACC has summoned Murathe over the KEMSA scandal.
Yeah.
So I think if we just go back a step, previously Murathe had been linked to a company called Kilig Limited, but then he then went on TV and said that he had no affiliation with that company. But it has now come to the attention of the public and the EACC that he was in fact a bank signatory to that company. So I think that argument he was trying to make has fallen apart. However, very importantly, we have to mention whether or not he was affiliated with this company. The Star talks about how this company was registered on the 22nd of January 2020. It was then given a 4 billion shilling tender for the supply of PPE equipment.
And what month? In March?
In the month of, in March.
Yeah.
And then it was not on the list of pre-qualified firms for tender. As I look at this, my question is, show me a crime, right? I do not see a crime yet. All I'm seeing is a speculative, mumbo jumbo of words. I don't think it's illegal to start a company at any point in time. I don't think it's illegal to receive a tender. And I think more importantly, in this moment of COVID, when we have relaxed procurement rules, I don't think it is illegal to receive a tender. It is a willing buyer, willing seller kind of mentality that we need to understand.
2J, we are dealing with simpletons sometimes. I keep hearing people, corruption at KEMSA, stealing. Show me, as you rightly said, 2J, that it has happened. Let me ask you, when you buy a coffin from someone who makes coffins, are they profiting from death because someone has died? Of course they are. If you take someone to ICU today and the bill racks up to about 3 million shillings in 1 week, are they profiting from someone who is sick? Absolutely they are. Let me tell you, there is one problem we have in this country, and that problem is poverty, economics of poverty, propagated by the fourth estate. And the media, as Roger Stone says, is both evil and lazy. If Murathe happened to supply whatever he wanted to supply to KEMSA, and he got the payment of whatever he supplied, what is the problem?
He has done nothing wrong. I think up until...
Can I be devil's advocate again?
No,
allow me, because...
No.
Okay, no.
Let me tell you, we have to fukuza upuzi and ujinga in people's minds.
Okay, for balance of thought.
Let me tell you, these fellows called the media have injected poison, and I'm so cross with them. They have injected poison in people's minds.
However, if
you go across this country, you say, watu wanaiba pesa ya watu wa corona. Have you seen people, watu wa corona? Do people walk around with a label here written watu wa corona?
Listen, in this case, Murathe brought this particular problem to
on
his
himself.
doorstep.
It's
because
true.
when he did that interview, at no point did anyone ask him about Kilig and all these other things. He invited EACC to his doorstep. He had he who lives in...
I would agree. I would agree completely.
Okay, let me say this. Nothing will happen to Murathe. You know why?
He's because a good and loyal gatekeeper.
Number one. Number two, as they say in Animal Farm, all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others.
Anyway, and as we have been told before, the political currency is lies.
Yes, the currency of politics is lies.
Yeah.
If Murathe lied, it is because he's a political animal.
Okay, we have one more paper to him. We have one more paper.
That is very true.
There's a showdown over Obado's ouster plot. So Migori MCAs are preparing themselves to have an impeachment motion against Governor Obado.
Yeah.
We know he's come under siege this whole week. We've been reading about it in the papers. However, many are saying that if this impeachment should fail, it is a referendum on Raila Odinga, because he's supposed to have this stronghold and supposed to be, have the power to control the vote in that sense.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will be watching out to see how
that
this plays
goes.
out. However, I think we toss it.
I want to see who Ruto will support in this, because he's come out as Saint Ruto.
No, he's
a saint. Now
he's
telling others
saint
that
of the people who have been left out of other parties. Obado was dismissed by Raila.
But also, I think what's important is we need to put everything into perspective. There are things that Obado has been accused of, and we need to look at those things. So the only thing I will say in relation to his relationship with Ruto, birds of a feather.
Stick together.
Woo!
Okay, I'm tossing every other one but the Daily Nation. I've made an executive decision that the Daily Nation is our winning headline.
We supported that.
On to the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country, where we also have a 3-part criteria. We ask ourselves, is it humorous or dry? Is it satirical or pessimistic? And is it effective or just plain lazy?
All right. You have Ndula in the Daily Nation. 2 fellows, caricatures of President of South Africa. That is, what's his name
Jacob
again?
Zuma and Ramaphosa.
Cyril Ramaphosa, current president, and former president Jacob Zuma. But Jacob Zuma is out of a tub, and he put his feet in his foot in the tub, in his toes, and he soiled the water.
Because his toes are dirty.
Yes, and I think this is I don't know what's up with African journalists. They all just focus on corruption. This is regard to the South African COVID case, because in corruption,
to you would have us legalize it.
They got Okari in that place to tell us there's corruption in South Africa. I mean, who the heck cares?
Okay, we're parking it in the Star. What do we have?
The Star. Where is the Star? The Star you have. This one I like. Is a caricature of William Ruto, and
he has a target on his back.
And the person who's shooting a target has got a quiver and a bow and arrows. Is none other than David Murathe, and the caption there is you are becoming a pain in the
Beep. You know what I thought was really funny about this cartoon, and I will have to give Ozone credit for this.
Yeah.
He's not attributing the statement to either one of them. It could come from both.
Yeah.
Who is the thorn and who's behind?
Yeah.
You know, is it Murathe to Ruto, Ruto to Murathe?
No, Murathe is definitely the pain in his.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think what's funny also is that Ruto seems to be surprised. But you get what you deserve, I suppose.
Shall we give the Star our winning cartoon?
Yeah, sorry. The Standard has been silent for some days.
There you have it, the Star with our winning cartoon. And now for our final thought, but before we get there, please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
And now our final thought. It is inspired by a book titled Originals, How Nonconformists Move the World, by Adam Grant. We've done this book before, guys.
We have.
Yes,
it's a
we
fifth
have.
estate favorite.
It is.
Can I give a summary to it?
Go ahead.
Please do.
Thank you so much. So this week we've been looking at some of our most famous sort of phrases and cliches, and we explored some of them. We looked at why they stayed on for so long. We asked, why do all roads lead to Rome? We asked, how sustainable is it to rob Peter to pay Paul? And what do these proverbs and phrases really mean, right?
Yeah.
So on Monday, robbing Peter to pay Paul, we used a book called Debt, The First 5,000 Years by anthropologist David Graeber, where we learnt our conventional origin story for money is totally wrong. A fascinating chronicle of how money is an abstract representation of scarcity that we invented in order to suit our commercial needs, and how the foundation of the human economy is built on bartering and swapping for mutual benefit. It makes us human, and it lets us specialize. And then came money and coinage, which evolved as an abstract representation of that scarcity in order to facilitate the bargaining. And then credit and banking evolved on top of that. On Tuesday, we looked at Diamonds Are Forever, and we looked at a book called Brilliance and Fire, a biography of diamonds by Rachel Bergenstein, a cultural biography of the diamond, which showed the story of our society's enduring obsession with the hardest gemstone. Where do they come from? Where do their legacies originate? How did they become our cultural symbol of engagement and marriage? Why have they retained their coveted status throughout these centuries? And here we discovered about the diamond dream. On Wednesday, we talked about all roads leading to Rome.
Yeah.
And we used a book called Escape from Rome, The Failure of Empire and the Road to Prosperity by Walter Scheidel. And the team explored the gripping story of how the end of the Roman Empire was the beginning of the modern world. And the saying, all roads lead to Rome, has been used since the Middle Ages and refers to the fact that the Roman Empire's roadways radiated outwards from its capitals.
Yeah.
The phrase, all roads lead to Rome, can now also mean that there are various ways to reach a conclusion, many ways to achieve a goal, and many routes to arrive at a decision.
Yeah.
On Thursday, we looked at To Thine Own Self Be True, and we used a book, Why Leaders Lie, The Truth About Lying in International Politics by John J. Mearsheimer. And we looked at various types of deception, from fear-mongering to strategic cover-ups and concealment. And the fact is that strategic lying is a useful tool of statecraft. And we saw that with JFK and Nikita Khrushchev.
Yeah.
And how leaders sometimes conclude that they have no choice but to lie for their countries, and that circumstances make it feasible to do so.
Yeah.
And today we're saying all is fair in love and war.
In love and war. And using, to look at that quote, we're going to look at originals, how nonconformists non-conformists move the world.
Yeah.
So I think that we know that everybody has ideas, but not everybody actually ends up acting on those ideas. And even fewer people manage to implement those ideas they have in any kind of meaningful way.
Yeah.
And so author and psychologist Adam Grant calls those few who do act on those ideas and make them successful, he calls them originals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in this book, he uses a combination of research and historical anecdotes to explain what makes an idea successful and what makes a person who can create successful ideas. What are those qualities that those people have?
Yeah.
So he refers to originals as those people who are willing to resist conventional wisdom and try something different. So this book is really just about the creative process and how creative people think, create, and implement alongside the more conventional other people. So he talks about how the conventional people in the world keep civilization functioning. But you have, on the other hand, the originals who bring their ideas to fruition and really make a positive impact with their non-conformist ways of thinking.
Yeah.
So he says in the book that there are two ways to achieve achievement. To reach achievement. He says that it is conformity and originality.
Yeah.
So conformity means following the crowd down conventional paths and maintaining the status quo. That is still a way to, reach achievement.
Yeah.
But on the other side, you have originality, which is taking the road less traveled. So you're championing a set of novel ideas that go against the grain, but ultimately make things better. So from this book, I got three main ideas.
Yeah.
How to generate original ideas, how to execute original ideas, and how to push those original ideas towards success. And so how do you generate original ideas? And he refers to a psychologist called Dean Simonton, who found that even geniuses have trouble recognizing that they have come across a successful idea. Because many people fail to achieve originality because they generate few ideas and then obsess about refining them to perfection. We become perfectionists over a small group of ideas. But he says that the key to generating a few good ideas is to actually generate a lot of them. Generate so many that you end up picking one from the best. And if you do so, inevitably one of them will be a fantastic idea. Don't try to be mediocre, be prolific. So he talks about how Mozart, for example, composed more than 600 pieces of work, musical work, before his death at 35. Beethoven produced 650 works in his lifetime, and Bach wrote almost 1,000. He says a study of over 15,000 classical music compositions, more of them were given within a 5-year window, because you kind of toss the coin over the odds of which one is going to be a hit. Picasso's works included more than 1,800 paintings, 1,200 sculptures, 2,800 ceramics, but we only know a fraction of those things that he did. Maya Angelou, for example, I think is most known for Still I Rise, that poem. But she wrote almost 170 more others. So I think at the end of the day, his point is the more you produce, the more likely you are to increase your chances of success. So just, keep generating a large pool of things. And one thing he also talks about in the book is how procrastination is good. And for me,
I love it.
I give a tick to that.
But don't procrastinate forever.
Too much, that's also true.
No, do it a lot. 2J, when you say I was reading that part for Bach and
Mozart and all of that,
I pronounced it as Bach, but now you educated me. Now, my favorite part in this book is the part of power without status. I ask myself, what is the difference? Power involves exercising control or authority over others. Status is being respected and admired. Now, Prof always tells us one thing. He says it is better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission. Now, why am I saying this? Now, there is a lady, beautiful lady. She's called Carmen Medina. You saw
that she was beautiful.
What does her beauty have to do with anything?
All right.
I'm just describing.
Okay, keep going.
Okay. If she was ugly, would you
all right, proceed with your point.
Ugly lady? Look, this lady is called Carmen Medina. Now, Carmen Medina was a CIA analyst back in the 90s. Now, this lady was described as she had the power. All right, but in a room full of senior CIA operatives, she had no status. She was just an analyst. Now, this lady was very frustrated by the communication set up at Langley. Langley, Virginia is the headquarters of CIA. Now, you see, in the 90s, the CIA published a report every single day. It's like a daily newspaper.
A physical one.
A physical report that they would share with the FBI and the National Security Agency, the NSA. all right? And this was a form of sharing intelligence. But Carmen was very frustrated with this mood, and she said, why don't we use the local internet within the CIA to communicate amongst ourselves? After all, if information is what we feed off, then we'd be better off feeding information off each other. But the more she did this amongst her seniors, the more she was told, no, you cannot continue bringing up that argument, especially in your position. You need to bring up a better argument. Now this lady got so frustrated that I think she was demoted. But this lady did not relent. Within 3 years, she comes back with an idea. And the idea is called Intellipedia. Now, Intellipedia, for those that do not know, is the source of information for probably all the intelligence networks in the United States. And so it has over about 600 million users. Now, this this Intellipedia source, it came as a result of this lady seeing forward. She said, past the 90s, we will go into the digital age. Information will be shared like whoop. Everybody, phone, nini, computer, all that, you will have it. And it all was based on the internet. But if this lady was not able to, and the reason why I said this thing of prof, sometimes it's better to seek
forgiveness, not
permission. If she had gone to these guys, and I mean the lower hierarchy, and given them this proposal of having Intellipedia, and them seeing the potential of this platform, she would have gotten much more better results than later. But either way, she still got her way, and the Intellipedia is now the most used intelligence Wikipedia platform.
Because she saw into the future.
Fantastic. Kudos to her. So I really liked All is Fair in Love and War. I had heard the phrase, I didn't know what it meant, but I learned something today. So it's used to describe a situation in which people do not follow the usual rules of behavior. And I think that's what Originals really teaches us. Like, people are not conforming to the norms, right? And so there's a man named Rufus Griscom, and he invented a platform called Babbel in America. And it was to do with parenting and sort of challenging the norms of parenting and whatnot. Anyway, so when he's looking for funding, he decided to go and give a presentation. But instead of putting his best foot forward, he put his worst foot forward. So his first slide was why you should not invest in this company, which is very counterintuitive for a lot of entrepreneurs, because everyone as an investor wants to hear why you should invest in a company. But he started off with why you shouldn't. And he found that it worked because his first round of funding gave him $3.3 million of funding.
Wow.
And there's a reason to this, he says. It's because of something called the Sarek effect. So there's a social scientist called Leslie Sarek, and he says that when you're presenting ideas to people who have more power than you have, and you're trying to convince them to give you resources, most of you will assume that to be persuasive, you have to emphasize your strength and downplay your weaknesses. But the first advantage of leading with your weakness to the audience is to disarm them. So when he started with that slide of why you should not invest, a lot of people laughed. A lot of them physically relaxed into their chairs, and they were able to appreciate his ideas a lot more. The second thing is that you sort of, it makes you look smart. Simply, right? If you're willing to tell somebody what is wrong with your idea, then they're like, actually, if you're willing to tell me what's wrong, then there must be so much more that's good in your idea. And so it's sort of
the problem-solving mentality.
Exactly. It's a mind trick for them. So it's a little bit scary. It can backfire because if your weaknesses are more than your strengths, then you're shooting yourself in the foot. But it leaves the audience with sort of this favorable assessment of who you are as a person, your ability to accept what your weaknesses are, and ability to grow your business and whatnot, right?
Of course,
so that is what I took from All Is Fair.
I don't know if I'm brave enough to use that kind of trick. It sounds good, but
to disarm your audience. You have to hedge your bets the right way.
True.
That's on a day. Lesson for Ruto.
Okay. On a day where we had a winning cartoon from the Star, winning headline from the Daily Nation, I want to leave you with this. When we say all is fair in love and war, the concept behind the phrase is that some areas in life are so important and overwhelming that you cannot blame someone for acting in their own best interests. So don't be hard on yourself when you do that. Be the best that you can be. And remember, life isn't fair. It's just fairer than death. That's all.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That was from William Goldman.
Yeah.
Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, but find us on TV. We're on GoTV, Prime Free to Air, and Star Times. Have a lovely weekend.